Hey, how's everybody doing? I'm trying to discipline myself to do as many uploads as I can, just because I think it jogs the algorithms and it might help me get a little bit more play. So, one general thing that I tend to do on my own that I definitely think is in everybody's best interest and worthwhile doing is keep a good eye on the tech sector. If I were to invest personally, I would invest in the tech sector mainly because I'd be using a device like a handheld or a tablet or a laptop or a desktop computer in order to research, right? No matter what I'm researching, whether it's I have a lot of interest in like genetic science. My cousin is like basically a highly educated geneticist. Like he's basically like he's a doctor, and I have a lot of hope that in the future I'll be able to progress to a level where I'd be able to assist in the development of and the advancement of genetic science to specifically for I guess the major causes of illness like cardiovascular health span and cancer research. I think all of these things can be greatly statistically improved through research into genetic sciences. So I definitely have intention to do that. That's kind of like borderline tech sector. That's like biotech or like it's biological research and development sciences. So I just thought we'd look over the major tech sector stocks. It's not really a great time to do it. It's Saturday night here, but I figured that come Monday we'll be briefed, and I feel like doing it right now, so I'm going to do it. So let's take a look at Tesla. Tesla stock price. One thing about Tesla is that it hasn't really seen any major downturn since its IPO in, I guess, 2010 there. So Tesla's initial public offering was in 2010 at a very modest price in comparison to what it is now at. So its IPO is around just under $20, and it is currently trading at almost $750, which has skyrocketed since since the beginning of the month. Tesla has gone up over 250%. Man, all of those people, or sorry, not since the beginning of the month, since September of this year. Since September of this year, Tesla has gone up 250%. That's still a great return on any investment. I had a buddy who would always recommend Tesla to me, and personally, if I had the kind of capital to invest, which hopefully one day I will, or I'll be able to advise somebody, like Tesla would definitely be of peak interest to me. Of course, at its current price, at its current valuation, I think the main thing to think about with regard to all investing in the stock market is it's mostly a matter of market cap in comparison to actual overall value, right? So like the market cap is really what you want to pay attention to, and then you want to think of what the stock actually holds in terms of market value. So when you look at a company like Tesla, its current market cap, we're sitting at 134.84 billion. That seems pretty modest. Tesla is at least going to be a 500 billion, perhaps like a $1 trillion company, right? I think there's a good likelihood, a very good likelihood, that in the future Tesla will be a $1 trillion company with Apple. That might take 30 years, but I definitely anticipate it happening because Tesla is developing really, really great technologies. Intel stock price. Let's look at Intel. In the past little while, AMD, Intel's main competitor, has been doing a lot of development of multi-core CPUs at a more kind of cost-effective price. Of course, notoriously, if you look at AMD, their reputation is to create microprocessors that, or central processing unit CPUs that are not as dependable as Intel. So Intel is kind of riding the high end, the end of the market in terms of CPU design, manufacture, and production, and offering it as a consumer product. And AMD is now definitely, in many ways, catching up to them. Like AMD, I would say, is definitely standing shoulder to shoulder with Intel these days. And I think obviously the progress in the development of such technologies is leading to a more stable product for AMD. And I think across the board, you know, you're not really sacrificing stability or dependability in terms of performance with an AMD investment these days. And it's probably been that way for the past year or so, I would say. That's just my general estimate. I haven't really, you know, like I just keep an ongoing eye on the tech sector, and I watch various media channels. Props to big ups to Linus Tech Tips. He's a local Vancouver guy as well. So yeah, I mean, looking at Intel right now, their market cap is 282.37 billion. I could see Intel definitely going up over 300 billion. They've always been like a bedrock of the market. I definitely think it's probably still going to increase in value. But if you look at it in comparison to the Tesla chart and the Tesla graph, this dip that's occurred between 2000 and today, that's a 20-year gap where it used to be at an equal peak value. So, you know, just as a general matter of common sense, I think that would make me apprehensive as a potential investor to look at that chart. Just because if it's gone up that high and it's dipped down, then why wouldn't it happen again, right? And so in 2000, it had a peak of like, I guess, about $70, and it's currently trading at about 66 bucks, just over 66 bucks. But even so, I would say Intel has a share in the market that's never going to go away. You can never really say that, but at the same time, I think Intel and AMD will be the Microsoft and Apple of the microprocessor, the CPU market as a niche. And in many cases, they're the ones who are developing the CPUs for everyone else, right? I mean, like in pretty much all cases. So let's look at AMD in comparison. AMD stock price.
Advanced Micro Devices closed up 0.83% yesterday at $49.73.
Their market cap is only just under 60 billion. So if you compare that, yeah, that's I think without question at some point in the future, AMD is going to be at $100 billion company. Like at some point in the future, I'd say it's a dependable investment. I don't see the company as going anywhere. It's got a solid market presence, and the need for microprocessors, the need for CPUs in the modern market is never going to go away. Like it's only going to increase as we have more robotics, as we have more automation, and AI being developed. These companies, I don't see these companies as going anywhere. All of the companies that I'm going to list right now, I advised a friend of mine to invest into Uber, because here in Vancouver we've recently now got Uber as a provider for transportation for the public. There was a long grudge match between the cab drivers and the cab unions and the cab service providers of Vancouver and Uber and Lyft for a long time. So I think there was a legal struggle in order to get Uber and Lyft to be present in Vancouver, and it's finally over. And I got to give credit to Mayor Kennedy Stewart, because I'm a tech sector enthusiast. Everything tech, I'm always into it. I mean, I really have a strong passion for it. So anytime we make a good movement in the direction of innovation, it's always something that makes me happy. So props to Mayor Kennedy Stewart of Vancouver for finally getting things into the 21st century 2010s now with Uber and Lyft in Vancouver. Let's take a look at Oracle stock price. Now, Oracle
Corporation closed up 0.02% yesterday at $54.72.
Oracle is not a company that I know much about. I am very unfamiliar with it. Of course, I know Larry Ellison, but in terms of the implementation of their software and anything that they're doing in R&D or production of anything, I'm not really that familiar with their company. They seem to be a cornerstone of the market. I would never invest into Oracle Corporation personally, even though you can tell, like, the chart looks pretty decent, it might stay the course and keep on accumulating value with a current market cap of 175.52. If I had to place a bet, I would say that Oracle is the main potential to drop out of the market, out of the big tech companies that are currently in the market. Larry Ellison, I think, for the rest of his life, he's a great salesman, but in my opinion, he perpetuates Oracle mainly upon his salesmanship and his charisma and his persona. But I don't see them as actually offering anything to market that is like as substantial as Apple these days. Apple's last quarter was fantastic. I can't recall any of the specific numbers off the top of my head, but Apple's last quarter is they're back to their glory days. So Microsoft is doing a lot to develop hardware now, and let's take a look at Microsoft. MSFT stock price.
Microsoft Corporation closed up 0.14% yesterday at $183.89.
Yeah, look at that chart. It's amazing when you look at the long-term evolution of Microsoft in relation to Apple. It's a very long history of primarily Microsoft dominating the market. I mean, it's not until people don't realize that it's not until like very recently. I think especially the millennials that haven't been really old enough to understand these economic processes, that Apple used to be the big time underdog, and now Apple is dominating, and Microsoft's current market cap is 1.4 trillion. I wonder if let's look at Alphabet. Alphabet stock price.
Alphabet Inc. Class A closed up 0.21% yesterday at $1,479.11.
So Alphabet, Google. The one thing that I'd note about Alphabet, their recent decisions in the market, is that Microsoft ended up purchasing GitHub, and to my mind, GitHub is a very, very important company to have under your umbrella. And I would have assumed that Google would have made that move. I think Microsoft paid around $5 billion for GitHub, which of course for an online collaborative coding environment, that's quite a lot of money. But at the same time, it's right down Google's alley. It's right down Alphabet's alley. So I'm shocked and appalled that Alphabet did not purchase GitHub and bring that into what they're doing. And I would have preferred to have seen it done, because when you compare the typical business strategy of Microsoft and what they do and what they do best, it's not as conducive to success in collaborative coding, online coding environments, especially with regard to free open source development. I think, yeah, I would have liked to have seen Alphabet purchase GitHub. They're currently sitting at 1.02 trillion. There's a lot of trillion-dollar companies now. It was just the other day that it was big news that Apple had finally transcended the trillion-dollar mark and had made history. And now we see Microsoft at 1.4 trillion, Alphabet at 1.02 trillion. Apple stock price.
Apple closed down 1.36% yesterday at $320.03.
1.4 as well. So I guess Apple and Microsoft are still neck and neck. But again, the last generation of Microsoft's hardware releases with their new Surface products, they look really good. I ended up buying a MacBook instead. I got the last of the Butterfly MacBooks. But yeah, I definitely like to keep an eye on it. I like to keep an eye across the board on tech sector stocks. So hopefully I'll flesh this out into something more consolidated, more real in the future, and just check out Amazon. Because again, I'm not currently sitting in the kind of situation where I have the capital to invest, but I just find it interesting, right? It's definitely at the heart of the matter. I really like the products. So here you go. Amazon's at about the same price as Google. So I think you could say that Amazon Web Services and Google are the two main competitors, I guess, as I'm mentioning these things, I'm kind of understanding it myself. So Amazon and Google would be competitors, and Apple and Microsoft are now competitors. Who else have we got on here? We've gone through Intel, Twitter. I think Twitter, as far as their valuation is concerned, like the market cap of Twitter is $30 billion. I think that's probably an accurate market cap. Although I like Twitter, it's not like they're developing a lot of hardware right now. And it's the hardware software pairing where you're going to have inherent increase in value, because that's creating an ecosystem, right? It's creating a extensive product and product line, and it's creating a more solid market for the product. Like Twitter, I think they'll ride on name recognition, brand recognition, and current market status, and just the familiarity with their product for the rest of the company's existence. I'd see them as an accurate evaluation at $28.75 billion. I'd say that's good. And let's look at their competitor, Facebook. I have some strong feelings about Facebook, just like everyone. So Facebook's market cap is $605.24 billion. The one thing about Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg is that they are developing great hardware. Mark has done a fantastic job building the Oculus to what it is now, and the hand tracking is the first on the market. So I think in terms of the immersive VR, they're just doing such a great job. And then like HTC was their main competitor, and I just see it as being such an affordable quality product. You got to give it to him on that. Obviously, Mark Zuckerberg has rubbed all of us the wrong way at one time or another with his certain things, but you got to give him credit where credit's due, and I think he has done good things in hardware development, which means that potentially a future of hardware development for Facebook and software development is pretty much limitless. But it all depends upon what he's going to do, and him being as young as he is, he's exactly my age. Like, yeah, I would say 605.24 billion. I'd see Facebook rising to Alphabet status, or like, yeah, I could see it increasing with time in value. There's the trading app Robinhood, for anyone that's interested in trading and maybe doesn't have as much money. I actually endeavored to open up a eToro account, and I did buy Twitter stock, but when I went to seek it out so that I could maybe make a sale on my investment at a profit, unfortunately my account disappeared. So I've had bad experiences. This is like a matter of like $100 or $200, but I've had bad experiences with eToro, which is unfortunate. And then there's now Robinhood. So I think they're making trading accessible for everyone, which is great, because I think that's the way that it should be. Obviously, not everyone has enough coin on hand to purchase $212 shares, but I think tech sector investing is a great thing. And as we move into a more automated future, and it makes accessible a really interesting thing to talk about for everyone. So yeah, hopefully at some point in the future I get to flesh this out into something more well developed. But I definitely have a lot of passion and interest in the tech sector. So I'll make a more extensive list of companies, and I'll try to do maybe real estate investing as well. Like I'll look at like global real estate markets, and we could look over different potentialities in global